Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. I hope everyone's having a good week. Brian Jennings here, the man who would have been the movie critic. This channel exists to discuss the nature of my relationship with Quentin Tarantino and the movie critic. And so, I'm the reason that he canceled his film as a result of a series of letters. I've gone through this 1,000 times, right? But I have to talk about it until he tells the truth about the movie, right? As far as where I'm at psychologically and spiritually is that, like, if he expects me to just accept the nature of the relationship as it is, if he does not want to openly discuss it, right? Just admit that I am the reason he canceled the film. Right? He doesn't have to admit to any of the psychic shit. Then, right, I'll be looking over my shoulder forever. Then as long as he keeps it this occulted thing, I have palpable cause to fear for my safety, because he is a powerful impresario. And as a result of our condition, we're on the frontier of psychic phenomenon, the two of us. It's a case study in remote viewing. Right? I have palpable grounds to concern myself with the reality that at any time, knowing where I am, right, he could send someone to murder me, to take his mind back. Right? I didn't make him remote view me 500 hours. I didn't do that. He decided to do that, and in so doing, has bound us together forever. And so he's done it, he did it, to compel me to blow my brains out, right? To humiliate me to such an attenuated degree that I would say, oh gosh, no, Quentin doesn't love me, bang, or oh gosh, it's all so much, right? Or have me slobbering mad on a mountain of psychiatric meds saying, oh, the voices in my head, the voices in my head. Which again, right, that's the definition of evil, that's my point. And so now that he knows that that's not going to happen, right, that not only am I not going to kill myself, I'm also not going to bury my spiritual fire, my light in psychiatric medication, because it cannot in any way prevent him from playing the games that he thinks are appropriate to play with me. And so I have to talk about it to know that I'm doing everything that I can to protect my life. And so the argument from, say, my therapist, because I have a therapist, I am of sound mind, is that I'm obsessing over it in some way. And so my point to him, which I make to everyone, is that despite the fact that from the outside looking in, right, that's true, because they have no way of proving the legitimacy of my claims, despite the fact that they can reach out to his representation and ask them. Anyone can. But that in no way changes the absolute reality that if the things that I'm saying are true, then he does have a palpable evil inside of him. And if he did all of this, there is no reason to assume that he won't continue to escalate it and actually conspire towards having me assassinated. Because that's the next step, right? Is either outright occult siege, right? Where he and the people closest to him all constantly meditate on, right, me suffering, me getting diseases, right? Which puts me in such a state that it leads to my hospitalization, or leads to me crashing a car while I'm driving, etc., all these things. Or it's time to get rid of him, right? Outright. Right? Like, oh, we tried it the subtle way. Right? And so while I'm assured in our celestial special connection that we have that he can't do that, I was also assured a lot of things, right? That I'm his son-in-law and that he's going to get me a starter home in the hills, like all that. It's all bullshit. That's the point, right? Tribeca wasn't bullshit, right? That was right, like that seed that he put in my mind, that was him showing me the pathway to embrace him and call him father through submitting my mind, right? At a screening of Jackie Brown, right? A simple sentence. That's all it would have taken. I have a question about this book. And then a series of events would have unfolded, cascading out from there as far as our impromptu conversation. It would have led to him announcing me as the movie critic because he wanted to use me. But when I didn't listen, right, when I didn't listen to the light in me, when I betrayed the light in me, and did not bend to his psychic whim, when his clairvoyance proved impotent, right, when his psychic eye was not strong enough to compel me to give him what he wanted, which was me questioning him about the book so that he could unveil me as the movie critic, right? After that occurred, despite the fact that he still could reach out to me at any time and set up an event where I question him about his book, and then he announced me, right? He saw that as some sort of attack on him. But he saw that as me, right? Or it's one of two things. It's either him saying, oh no, he wanted to hurt me, now I have to, right? Like that was his move, now I have to make another move. And that's, of course, that's not true. I have no cunning, I have no guile, right? I was afraid, I was nervous, I was aloof, right? That he did everything backwards, right? That if he would have, right? If he would have just spoke to me honestly, earnestly, right? And put the fear that I have in me now in me then even if he wouldn't have said anything, I would have given him everything he wanted. Or he thought that I was such an ignorant jackass that I had no clue what was occurring. And so, right? I have to talk about it. Because now, right, we're all the way like out here on the periphery, on the frontier of psychic phenomenon, the two of us. And I can't live my life in the way that he wants me to live it. I can't do that. I can't, like, I'm not wasting any more of my energy being in fear of his hatred of me, which is a very palpable, real thing. No matter what he tells people. These are the games that he plays with people. And so again, it's all been a tactic to make me appear insane, to justify his playing Russian roulette with his career. Right? Oh, I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't set up $1 million event without actually like talking to him. No, he's not well in his mind. He's the one who's not well because he didn't give me what I want. It's really evil, really dangerous, ugly evil. The ugliest evil anyone could practice. To not only like conspire towards making me appear insane, but outright hoping, praying to compel me to take my own life. And so now he's failed on both fronts. He's made me appear insane, for sure. Those monologues I sent to aemanuel and Mike Simpson, savage. But, however, right? Does it really like look insane, or is it just like anger? Is it actually 22 minutes of scripted material, word for word? Right? Is it just a piece of writing? So, taking it day by day, talking about it in the light of day, reminding the world, right? My point is that Quentin's interested in deception and cunning and guile, right? He didn't want me to turn my back on him like he turned his back on me, right? That's like he refused my writing both times after he canceled the film leading into Tribeca, right? And then he set me up at the actual conversation, but refused to take my letter or like put me on the spot in any way, right? And so this is my point when I say it's dangerous now, because like per his standards in his mind, right, he tells people, oh, I've lost my mind. He doesn't want me to die because in fact, he is losing his mind and he does want me to die. Right? But this is what I do. Right? I live in my mind. And so again, in that way, I betrayed the light in me. However, I don't believe that to be a death sentence, nor do I believe that an invitation for Quentin to exercise his clairvoyance as a weapon upon me for the rest of his life. Nor is he interested in doing that. I suspect the people around him are all tired of it as well. Seeing as how I go to church and play guitar and write all day. It's all I do. It's not like they don't have... Right? It's boring to watch me all day. And ultimately kind of sad. For him to have divested this much of his life force towards observing me, right? Towards seeing me, right? Suffer and die. All of which he can deny, all of which he will deny, and so this is why I have to talk about it. Right? And so, like, my point being that even if he doesn't want to admit it outright, right, he can pay me a bunch of his money, and that's right. Then it can stay this like secret thing, and that's him saying, "I value your life. I don't here, right. This is for your pain and suffering. I went too far." Right? NDAs, all secret. No one has to know, and then I would take all of the videos down. But in his mind, if he does that, then he is admitting, at least to himself and the people around him, that I am just as strong of a psychic to have compelled him out of all that money without suing him. And I suppose that's true, but only in the worst way, because he doesn't have to pay me anything. He can just tell the truth about the movie. Right? But he finds himself in a real quagmire with this regard. Because if he does admit that he canceled the film because of me and my reviews, right? Then he has admitted that something that I'm saying is true, because it is true, and this is why I put all of those other people's email addresses on the description of all of my videos, because all of those people have been aware of me since the time that he canceled the film, or shortly thereafter. So he canceled the film in April. Right? By middle of June, after Tribeca, his agent was aware. Right? And so, I should have just wrote his agent. Right? I guess that's like what I should have done. Should have just done that off the rip, instead of like trying to like circumvent in that way. Because like I was never interested in playing like a secret occult game. I just wrote a man that I admire a letter. And those systems, right, that define show business, right? They close those doors for me. They don't open them. But I thought, oh, if I just write him a letter from the heart, then I know that I did something, that I did what I consider to be appropriate. And it worked, but only in the worst way. Only insofar as, oh, I'll give you a chance if you allow me to manipulate you and control your mind forever. And so that's like where we're at, that we each have each other's minds. Like that's what he wanted, and now he's got what he wanted. But he's realizing now, and this is the source of my fear, right? That he's got what he wants. And so we're either friends or we're enemies. That's the point, right? There's no way where we persist in this way and either of us are happy. That's the point. That now, as it stands, right, anytime he does anything, right, in the public eye, right, then he's going to have people likely watching me, likely doing awful things to me, and now I have no choice but to give it back to him, because I have to protect myself, right? And this is literally hideous black magic evil. That's what we're touching on here, and I've talked about it in any number of videos before this one, right? But the things that people refer to as clairvoyant, remote viewing, telekinesis, telepathy, are the same things that people referred to as magic and sorcery in centuries past. They're not similar things, right? It's the same thing, only the words are different. It's the recognition of the spiritual origin of life, that life emerges out of a divine abstraction, right? Which is a consciousness, which is the divine conscious understanding of God the Father. So immaculate in its being that it cannot be expressed physically in the material universe, and we experience it as creatures upon the earth, as stillness, as rest. Right? And so, through meditation, through introspection, right, through, right, asceticism, right, you can tap your individual conscious awareness into the source of all life. And this is how you remote view, right? That you're either pushing out your conscious awareness like a radio wave as an electric field, or you're harmonizing the atomic, right, subatomic quantum material of your thoughts with the disparate locale you seek to observe. Superposition, I think they call it. Right? William Blake said, I do not see with my eye, I see through my eye. And that's what I'm touching on. That an organ is a filter. It's not the actual thing. It's the filter that allows the thing to be, right, coagulated, processed, and made evident and manifest within the soul of man, within the conscious awareness of whatever is experiencing it. Right? And so this is what they touch on in the Sefer Yetzirah, with the organs of the soul. So, I'm almost at 6,000 subscribers, and I appreciate that. Not for nothing. It's always because I pay money. It's not, But to all the new subscribers, thank you. A lot of times I was making my models, I try to make videos every day, but my models got very sophisticated, and I suppose I hit model fatigue. I was trying to make one, and I spent so much time, and then like 2 of the faces just looked so ugly. And I knew, no, this one's not, it's going to be hideous. So I've stepped away from that for a time. I have to get a CNC and start cutting out the pieces more clinically accurate. And then hopefully I can sell them as lights, as like night lights, as spherical models. A lot of times I'll sing songs, recite Shakespeare. I'm acting in 12th Night in January. Right? So, around the same time that Quentin's supposed to be premiering his play on the West End, which is either one of 2 things. He's either mocking me relentlessly, right? Well, I suppose it's that either way, or he has outright stolen my script about Elvis getting miscast in West Side Story. That's a script that I wrote in 2023, which is very funny. It's hilarious. And so I submitted a scene from that the first day of rehearsal with my 7,000 word essay that I published maybe a week before he canceled the film. Right? And so I published the essay, not to do anything other than process my life. That's it. I didn't, no machinations, no cunning, right? Quentin violated my mind for some 5 weeks and then stopped accepting my mail. And so I said, okay, I get it. You're a fucking cool guy. You can read 50 pages of my writing and then just think that it's appropriate to say nothing to me. Right? And so that's why I wrote the essay, to say this happened to me. And so, right, he's not actually that cool because, right, all he had to do was say a single fucking sentence to me. And that's where we are now still, as far as Tribeca, as far as all of it. Right? That he's so caught up in this idea of like, oh, I have to control him as a psychic. Right? Because if he's not prepared to forgive me, then he wants me to die. That's it. And so this is why I talk about it, right? Because it's a pathological condition in his mind most of all. And mine too. Right? But I have no, like, I'm cool. Like, I get it, but I'm going to talk about it because that's my right. And so it's his right to lie forever. Like, he can do that. I can't compel him to be honest any more than he can compel me to blow my brains out. But I can talk about it every day so that the world understands, right? The story of the movie Critic is not nearly as aloof and artistic as he makes it out to be. That it's a sick power game that has consumed both of our souls on some level forever. And everyone that's involved with him, right? Everyone, every single person involved, right? David Fincher, they all insulate a high evil upon me. And I know what he tells them. Oh, all he has to do is sue me. And that solves nothing. That solves nothing. And I tried to do that. I tried to do that. In April. He told me he wants me to sue him. He still does. Right? Because then he could say, oh, well, see, like, yeah, he's bitching, so I'm going to pay him. Right? But if he pays me now, right, then it's him saying, oh, it's because of me not wanting. It's not because he's suing me. It's because I don't want him to keep talking about it. Therefore, right, it's him admitting that he sees me as his equal, as a psychic clairvoyant, as a practitioner. So, all he had to do was leave me alone. I was working my job, sorting trash, never complaining, working 15 hours a day, filing it as often as I could. I have no money. Even when I was working, I had no money. I was dumping all of it into mailing this paperwork to the Santa Monica courthouse. Kept getting sent back, right? I'm not a fucking lawyer. I did the best that I could, right? And he just continued to escalate his depravities upon me, right? He's trash spiritually. They are actually interested in torture. That they like torturing people that don't give them what they want. And so, right, eventually it got so bad that I said, nope, no more. No more. I'm not suing you. I'm never suing you. I'm going to talk about this thing, right? And I'll just be what you say I am. I'll just be, like, it's fine. It's cool. Like, we're cool, right? You say I'm this weird, crazy guy who's obsessing. I don't know what he tells me. I don't know, But the reality is that I didn't make him cancel the film, right? He decided to cancel the film. Right? I didn't make him remote view me constantly for 2 months. He decided to do that. I didn't make him refuse my letters both times I wrote. Between the time he canceled the film and Tribeca, he decided to do that. I didn't make him stick his nose up in my letter and turn his back on me when he wanted me to question him about his book. He did that. Right? I didn't make him lie to everyone around him and say that I'm not well. Right? I didn't make him lie to everyone and say, oh, see, this is where, and show them a document that he never sent me. He decided to do that. Because, right, and this is why I'm talking about it, right? I'm a simple, honest guy. Right? No cunning, no deception. Right? No secrets. No more secrets. I played the secret game for a long time, for many months, because I felt bad, because I am an intuitive clairvoyant. I did know what he wanted. And so it's a joke to him, like he did it, like, oh, funny guy, right? Made me look like a pedophile, because his daughter's a little girl, right? And so that's like the daughter, right? And so when I think about that, again, I've talked about this before, it's either that he has some sort of relative who's like a daughter, perhaps like Daniela's relative in some way, that he wanted me because like he saw me not like smashing ass all over New Orleans and playing guitar and said, oh, he'll be good to her. Or, right, he pimped out his wife and she played the part. Or he's just a sick, weird guy who likes playing mind games with people. And so perhaps it's a mixture of all three, that they all played the part as much as they needed to perpetuate this campaign upon me. And it was only after I started remote viewing, having always known what's been occurring the entire time, at the first of the year, that he finally admitted to me that everything that I've been saying is bullshit. Right? That there is no daughter, there's like, I don't love you, no one loves you. Right? You're never going to be in my family. Right? And so this is the depravity of it all. Right? But when he literally could have just like sent me a single sentence. Right? Or said nothing. That's the point. Or done nothing. And just let me keep reviewing movies and protest. And then, right, release the film and just say nothing about it. And then if he used my scene, if he's using my scene, I'll have grounds to sue him. And of course, I can always sue him. I can always sue anyone for anything. Right? I have a palpable case against William Morris Endeavor for intentional infliction of emotional distress. right? Because I did write them in sincerity a bunch of times, right? And so as soon as those poems arrived, if they had any sort of ethical standard at all, they would have reached out and said, you're not well. There's no daughter. Quentin has no daughter, right? But it caters to this idea of him saying, "Oh, see, he's not well. Oh, see, he's the insane one. I'm not the stark raving lunatic who puts my character traits in Charles Manson, the nastiest character of the 20th century, the true successor to Jack the Ripper. It's him. It's this innocent guy who wrote me letters, right? He's the crazy one, right? Because it's, again, right, it's damage control. He never could have calculated, right, that I wouldn't complete that scene for him. And so if he would have just paid me $2 million, right, up to $5 million, however much, $500,000, and said, NDA, you blew it, that was the moment, the rest of my life I would have lived in complete fucking shame. I would have just hated myself, right? But now, right, we're so far gone, right? He's a complete fucking degenerate, right? And I'm in palpable fear for my life because everyone around him, right, they just insulate his evil. This is what he does, right? That he lies to everyone in his life, right? That he looks them right in the eye and tells them what they want him to believe, what he wants them to believe, not what the truth is, right? So he says one thing, right, when he means another thing. And how do I know that? Because I'm living it, right? That he stuck his nose up at my letter and turned his back on my letter at that screening of Jackie Brown, when in fact he wasn't being arrogant. He wasn't being, right? He wanted me to question him about his book. He didn't want me to leave. He wasn't dismissing my writing again. Right? And so this is the point, right? That, like, I didn't want to read between the lines then, but now I have to. And it took me a long time, again, out of trust, right? And so now I'm reading between the lines, right? He took my trust, he took my love, and turned everyone that I wrote against me, has done everything that he can to make me appear insane. And now that he knows that he'll never make me kill myself, nor will he ever stop me from talking about it as much as I want, I'm in fear that he's going to send someone to murder me. I have no choice but to assume that he is prepared to do whatever is necessary to silence me, and that's all that's left. That's all that's left is evil, right? So again, Sony executive Tom Rothman, right? Shiny Penny Productions, Stacey Scher, Shannon McIntosh, Mike Simpson, Agent Mike Simpson, William Morrison Dever, former CEO aemanuel, right? I wrote Train Anastasio from Fish about helping us reconcile. They all know about it. Right? Salman Rushdie. Right? And again, right, like when I wrote Salman, and David Berlinski, I wrote Thomas Pynchon too, but I don't know that he got the letter. I catered perfectly into his plan, right? Because I was believing him, all the bullshit about the daughter. Again, I've said this before. I know how the internet works. Like, yes, I know I could have looked up his kids, right? It's about trust, right? It's about intuitive, right? I was supposed to be intuitive at Jackie Brown. That's my point. And so when I didn't do that, right? And he, right, started saying these things, I said, oh, well, I have to trust. I have to trust him now. I didn't want to trust it then. Now I have to trust him. That he's telling me the truth, and he never was. It's a sick game to him, right? He has no veneration for what he does. This thing that we're touching on here, it's an emergency frequency. And so now he's put both of us, whomever is involved, in a perpetual state of emergency, right? And it doesn't get much worse than when you feel a hypodermic needle and taste blood in your mouth, right? That's the pinnacle of evil, right? All the which, sir, he can and will deny, right? And if I put it on him, right? If I just say, okay, sick sorcerer siege, he'll send someone to murder me, right? And so I can defend myself, and so that's what I'm going to do moving forward. Anytime he fucks with me, I'm going to grab a knife and something and just rage. Just like Ari and Mike got on those monologues. Right? Not to actually destroy someone's soul, but to protect mine. But if I was to say, oh, I'm going to go even farther, I'm going to, right? I'm going to get my own needles, fill them with battery acid. Right? He'll kill me. That's it. He's not gonna. No, he's not gonna say, well, drats, that's what I signed up for. Right? And so this is my point. That now it's just this sick, evil thing. That's all it is. That's all it's ever been. But it took me a long time to see it. And so now there's no more varnish, there's no more subtlety. Right? I exist as a psychic phantom in his mind. He and those closest to him exist as psychic phantoms in my mind as a result of their hundreds of hours remote viewing me in an effort towards compelling me to suicide. And so this is why I talk about it. You can believe me, you cannot believe me. All those people I rattled off, right? Who else knows? Robert De Niro, Brad Pitt, Sam Jackson, right? Right? That he says that I overplayed my hand. But really, he overplayed his hand. Like, that's... Right? I didn't do anything other than... Right? Be respectful of someone that I admired. Right? That he ran my headshot all over town and said, oh no, he's great, and never explaining to them that he was playing a fucked up mind game with me and expected me... Right? To just submit my mind and bark like a dog. In exchange for, yes, I understand that, but no, that's not good enough for me. Right? I hated myself forever. Right? All those people that I wrote, David Mamet, I wrote him. Right? And he just tells him, oh, he's insane, he's lost his mind, right? I don't know that he can lie to David Mamet like he lies to everyone else. And I don't know that they all believe it either, honestly. Because I've been saying the same thing the entire time. Right? That at some point, all of those people around him have to start recognizing and asking themselves, even if they don't ask Quentin, when they look at themselves in the mirror, what exactly is occurring between the two of them? What exactly am I turning a blind eye upon? Right? And so this is why I suspect, right, that they got really upset with my voicemails, because when it was really bad, and it's gotten better, right, I was calling that office every day saying, you have no idea what's occurring, right, you insulate the highest evil anyone could practice, right, and so again, right, it's all towards this idea of like making me seem insane, and he's goddamned his immortal soul forever, right, he's destroyed his marriage, he's probably fucked up his daughter's psychology for the rest of her life. Right? And he'll just say, oh, he's lost his mind. Oh, he doesn't, you know. Right? And so that's like, now we understand where we each belong in relation to each other. Right? That, according to me, right, Quentin Tarantino is the most evil man in the world, who uses a divine celestial wisdom to bend everyone around him to his will. And anyone who does it, who does not, he uses that same facility to torture, and in terms of me, seek to destroy. And according to Quentin, right, to the people that he tells a pseudo half-truth to, oh, he lost his mind after Tribeca. Here's where I told him. Right? He pulls out a document that he never sent me. And so these are our two. This is the two. Anyway, I'll stop. Those are the two positions. Right? I am of sound mind. It's all the same tactic. It's all the same tactic. It's using your mind to find someone, using your mind, right, to instill a physiological spike of hormones and an emotional conditioning within the target, right? And so in the beginning, it was like love, but it was, you know, he wanted me to jump off a bridge for a time. He still does. Right? But then after Tribeca, after I burned him, it was confusion, and then it was hatred, and then it went back to love because he created this like dense conspiracy, right? And then it was admittance, and now it's just pure evil. That's the point. Admittance that he doesn't have a daughter, that it's all been a sick conspiracy to make me lose my mind. Right? So, right? You don't have to believe me. You just reach out to any of these people on this video and say, what do you have to say about it? This guy has a lot to say about it. Is there any validity to any of his claims? So, life is not an accident. I don't believe that. The source of all clairvoyance is the source of all life, which is an abstract intellectual quality referred to as God and seen manifestly as stillness. Embedded within that stillness is the abstract idealized geometric scaffolding or form, which allows all of manifested life to emerge out of and flourish within and around as a celestial skeleton. Right? And so it's through the exertion of the celestial zephyr, the imposition of motion upon the stillness, which mutates that quantum hologram of electric probability out of potential and into kinetic. And so the specific geometric, right, alignment that it arrives at as a result of the dihedral angles of the motion reflects what we see it materialize as matter in the material world. On and on and on and on and on this idea goes all the way up. And so the psychic clairvoyant does the same thing. So you can be devoted to how the universe comes to be, which is love. All things operate through love. And this is why I sacrificed everything, because I did love Quentin. I hated myself for not giving him what he needed, because I knew what he needed, or what he wanted, not what he needed. I wanted to give him what he wanted, right? For knowing it in my heart. Like, we went through that whole conversation already, like in our reverie, right? Or you can be concerned with why, right? And so the why leads you often down these pathways of, right, occultism, of occult ritual, etc., 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 which in and of itself is not evil, right? These evangelical types, right? They don't understand that they're like enslaved to the dogma of their ignorance, right? That wisdom is a beautiful, necessary thing, right? It's the use of wisdom or abuse that yields good or evil. Because you can take that same understanding that Quentin uses as pure malevolence and write a great song, right? Or go volunteer, right? And on the highest levels, heal the sick, right? This is how nuns heal the sick. They're fasting, they're praying over the tumors for days on end, sweating, right? Constantly praying, right? And so the idea is that what they're actually doing is they're using their conscious field, their conscious awareness to behave just like God does, right? Where they're exerting, right, a celestial zephyr, an impetus of motion upon the hologram, which is fracturing it and restructuring it to dissolve and dissipate the tumors back into the stillness from which they emerged. And on the other side of that, which is what I find myself in, that you can use that same wisdom, that same celestial resonance, right, to try to push diseases into people, to try to create diseases within people. Right? Psychological, spiritual, physical, all of the above. And so the one is the ultimate testament to piety and goodness, and the other one, right, is the top of the ziggurats, the Tower of Babel. Right? And that is the definition of evil. When you say, oh, I'm going to use my knowing to see someone suffer, that's the definition of evil. And so this is where I'm at. This is what's occurring with me. And so this is why I have to talk about it, because right, the next step is outright assassination. So, see what's good. Hold those dear to you close. Write a poem, sing a song, draw a picture. Let me know what you think. God bless.